Hey there, welcome to the DFS Build NBA Edition. I'm Kevin Roberts, joined with Taylor Smith. Going to go over the DraftKings main slate. Nice 7-game slate. We went 10, 4, 7. So this is kind of more of our wheelhouse. Taylor had some really good calls yesterday. He said he loved Zion as a GPP play, and I fought it so hard. And Zion crushed at low ownership. So I'm never going to doubt you again. Not that I really often doubt you, but you were right, man. Chalk won last night for sure. Chalk was, except for Zion, Chalk was a nice thing. I ended up profiting slightly, so it wasn't terrible, but I took a lot of chances outside of Zion and it didn't work out. So could have been a more fun night. Hopefully something we gave out, whether it be core plays or advice on our video yesterday, helped you. If it does, and if this video helps you at all, please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and come join us in Discord. Discord is free. You can come chat with us and everybody else leading into lock. And if you want to take advantage of our core plays, which have been pretty darn good, honestly, you can hit up our Patreon and see what we're offering. If you're going to do that, I highly suggest you do it on desktop because the Patreon app charges you more. So that's what I definitely suggest. All right, let's get into it. The way we do it, we go position by position, highlighting the top plays, the values, and the studs, factoring in projections, ownership, matchups, all the fun stuff, hopefully to point you in the right direction. Okay, so SGA up top against the Celtics. Obviously, Boston on the road, not really the most ideal spot, but SGA is matchup proof. He's the best stud on the slate by far. I mean, there's also Harden there with no Kawhi, but let's just start with SGA. Are you paying 11.4K for SGA today?
Yeah, I'm sure I will. Entering a lot of lineups, so I'm not going to be like completely exposed to him, but he's an okay play. Like without J-Dub, obviously he'll get a usage boost, but matchup's brutal on the road against Boston. OKC's totals quite a bit lower than their season average, so it's fine. He's expensive though. 11.4 is kind of a lot for SGA. That might be the highest salary I remember ever seeing for him. So on a pretty full slate with a lot of point guards, a lot of high-end point guards at that, he's a fine play, but certainly not the only one that's popping for me.
Yeah, it is a little bit steep. I think like if you're just looking at raw points and you're looking at ceiling, I think SGA looks very, very appealing on a slate that really only has like Jason Tatum. And I mean, there is Harden and Trey. There's other guys, but there is no like Jokic, Giannis, Luka kind of guy. And he is the only guy that really feels that way. And especially with J. Will out, like that's kind of big. I'm not that worried about the matchup, honestly. I think the game has a decent total considering both defenses are very good. And it's just a huge game, especially with SGA going for the MVP thing and them trying to just prove like OKC is like super legit. I would imagine he shows out. That said, you're not wrong. Obviously, Harden is a nice pivot. He's $1,000 less, 1.2K less, actually. Projects almost the same. No Kawhi. So I don't love, a date on the road in South Beach either that much. I think I kind of am going SGA, or I'm dropping down to a couple guys that I like. One of them, God help me, is LaMelo. I do like LaMelo here. The minutes have been pretty good lately. We know he has a ceiling in Atlanta. Like you can't ask for a better spot than the Hawks here. And then also I do like Tyler Hero a good amount. His projection is not going to pop. And he's not like he's super cheap or anything. And the matchup with the Clippers also isn't great. But we do have elite usage, and he did absolutely smoke them the last time he faced them. So I think he's interesting. A big thing about Hero, too, is he's not going to be owned.
Yeah, I do like the LaMelo call. Haven't played him in a while. It feels like they've had a kind of a bad matchup for several days in a row. But tonight they play Atlanta. Good game environment, high total game. Obviously, Charlotte's always at risk of getting blown out, so there's that. But not too worried about it, given Atlanta's defensive struggles. He's 9.6, so maybe a little bit of a discount for him. He's my favorite of the high-end point guards as of now. I think Harden's a great play also, just given the no Kawhi, no Powell thing. But it is a back-to-back. Miami plays slow. Not a great game. But I still have
he's
more
super
Harden.
chalky right now.
Yeah, I still have more Harden than SGA, but it's okay. And then I think Trae Young's an awesome pivot from Harden at 10K. Like Trae Young's been in great form. He's probable. So, Charlotte's not stopping anybody. If Young's going to be owned at a fraction of the percentage that Harden is, I think Trae Young's a really play.
Yeah, 100%. Like he's only $400 more than LaMelo. And we know whether it be LaMelo himself or the Hornets, like that's just a tough situation to really feel good about. And a matchup with the Hornets isn't any worse. So I like Trae a lot. Trey tends to not work out for me, so I guess I'll let everybody know if I'm on Trey, and then you guys can avoid him. But he's not projecting for crazy ownership. Like nobody is in relation to Harden. So I think right away, like these other guys look really good. Just don't play Harden into ownership. Like he's 10.2K still. And like you said, not the best environment. There are other options here. It looks like Scotty Barnes is questionable. God, I hope he just doesn't play, so we don't have to mess with that. The Raptors are extremely shorthanded, though. So there is a reality here where 8.7K Scotty Barnes would be a good play. There's also John Morant against the Jazz. Like, it doesn't get a whole lot better than that. I do prefer $1,000 cheaper Desmond Bane by a lot. And then you have Devin Booker at 9.2K. I think he's okay. I just think really I'm either living in the SGA, Trey, LaMelo area, or I'm dropping down to Hero and then going down even further after that. Those are really the guys I'm interested in here.
Yeah, I'm not really on the Booker wagon against Houston. Pretty tough matchup, even without Amen Thompson. Not super excited about it. De'Aaron Fox playing hurt, 8,900.
He's been terrible.
That really, like he said, he's going to have surgery possibly next week, and he's still playing. I really don't understand why.
How is he actually picking up ownership on this slate? I don't even get it.
I don't know. I hope he does.
The only appeal with De'Aaron Fox right now is that people wouldn't be playing him because he's been asked. Like that's the only reason.
Yeah, I don't see any need to do that. I just think Morant's a better play in that range. I would prefer Barnes if he's in. Like Barnes without Barrett and Quickly and everyone else they're missing. Like, is he going to get the minutes? I have no idea. But because they are so thin, I'm inclined to think that if he's in, he will get something resembling full minutes. And they're playing against Philly, a shorthanded Philly team. So I do think Barnes is a solid play if he's in, given despite the risks. Right. Other than that, really kind of just dropping down. There is cheap value. I think Dyson's okay. 7.3 is kind of max price for him, though. And if I'm playing Young, I probably don't want both of them together, just given the salary you're spending on that. But as usual, a lot to like. I think Jalen Green's okay without Amen Thompson. Van Vliet's in, I think, but minutes are safe. There's still a ceiling there. I don't think he's a bad mid-range value.
No. Yeah, I think actually FEV being in there probably only helps him. FEV isn't always going to be a high usage guy. He might be a little bit limited to still. So just somebody to maybe set him up a little bit and just take a little bit of the pressure off. So I don't mind him. That's a nice price at 7.2. Phoenix isn't stopping anybody either. So there's that. Not going to pay 7.6K for Quentin Grimes. Don't give a shit if he hits or not. I cannot trust Philly. I do like the Philly value a little bit. Don't think it's super necessary right now, but like Jared Butler, that's fine. That's a fine punt at 4.4K. But like, is it Shed?
Yeah,
Jamal Shed. He looks good at 4.4. Like even if Scotty is in, they're without Quickly, they're without Barrett, they're without like so many other guys, and a bunch are even questionable still. So they might be having 8 guys tonight. So if that's the case, Shed looks great. We'll talk about Lawson too. I don't have any issue with that. Not super interested in this like lower mid-range. I guess we could consider Isaiah Collier in a really good DFS environment with no. Is Clarkson out too? I know Keontae George is out. Okay, so if Clarkson is also out, I think Collier is fine. 6.2 is probably about as high as I want to go with him. Obviously, if Memphis ends up sitting anybody, we can look at Scottie Pippen, Luke Kennard. Right now, though, I'm liking the value enough with Butler and Shed, and then the guys we talked about up top. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, Shed's probably the best play here overall as of now. Like he'll get better if Barnes is out also, but he should start regardless. So even if Barnes is in, I'm perfectly fine playing Shed. I think Brandon Williams is someone we can add to the list. Been starting for Dallas with Kyrie out. Williams himself is questionable after missing the last game, but if he's in and he starts, I feel good about it. 4 or 5, he's been good per minute. He's shown a ceiling. Probably going to be pretty low owned relative to Shed and potentially this other Raptors stuff. So he's firmly on my radar. And then Colin Sexton, you mentioned Collier, but Sexton's 5'6", playing full minutes in games that he does play.
Yeah, he played like 36 minutes the other day. What the hell was that?
Like Keontae's out, so there are minutes to go around. And if Clarkson's out, there are potentially more minutes to go around. Right. So
yeah, I don't hate it.
Already a good play. Memphis plays fast and all that. So Sexton, regardless of Clarkson, looks good to me too.
If Williams is out, there's Dinwiddie. If Williams is out and the Mavs are shorthanded again, he's in play. To that.
I don't think Dinwiddie started the last game, but they're so shorthanded, it doesn't really matter.
He crushed though. 37 minutes because they only had 8 guys again, right?
Yeah, so if Williams is out, you can certainly go back there. Dinwiddie is 5'7", so you're not really getting him cheap, but obviously there's ceiling. And I think Steph Castle, 6'3", playing off the bench. He's shown a ceiling too. Not going to be owned at all, I don't think. I much prefer him to Fox, if Fox is going to be owned especially.
Yeah, like Fox, I think is Fox just not even taking any usage really. It's still there, but he's just not like shooting a lot. He's just kind of like setting up the offense. I think.
I think he has a thumb injury, so
I
that might
know.
affect it.
So I'm with you. Castle looks a lot better though if Devin Vassell is out. He's questionable, so that would be kind of cool. But Castle at 6.3, that's fine. All right, over at shooting guard, Desmond Bane leads the way. One of my favorite plays in the entire slate. I think he's a way better play than Ja. You can play Ja, you can pair them together. I just think Bane is a smash play here. My favorite shooting guard up top. Like I said, Hero, I don't mind. Jaylen Brown's price is a bit much with Boston possibly healthy. Not super into Devin at that price in that matchup. Not into De'Aaron Fox at all. I think it's Bane, Hero, and Jalen Green up top right now for me at shooting guard.
Yeah, I think Bane's one of the best plays on the slate. I think he would be a core play for me.
He's already in there, baby.
Like you said, I much prefer Bane at 8.3 to Ja at 9.3. I just think that's certainly a better value you're getting. Shooting
He's
guard
chalky right now, right?
I'm sure he will be, but I really don't care. Like they're playing Utah.
No, yeah,
they
I don't
have
care either.
130 total. So
I was hoping maybe
recency
recency bias would bring that down a little bit because he was not good in his last game. But
yeah, the field is still not sharp overall, but it's sharper than it used to be. So I think he will be pretty owned just because he projects so well. But no issue.
yeah,
with
rightfully
it.
so though. That's like one chalk spot. Like we talk about this all the time. Sometimes just eat the good chalk. Like you can fade Bane and get away with it, but like somebody like Hero is a good pivot, I think. But I just like Bane way more, so I'm just going to play him. Who else do you like in here as we go down? Because I think we're kind of in agreement on the top guys. If you want to save some cash here instead, who do you like?
So Sexton, one of my favorite plays on the slate, also shooting guard eligible. I think Vassell, if he's in at 6'1", still has upside for the dollar. Could be underpriced with the usage he gets. He's kind of taken a bigger role with Fox kind of taking a lesser role, so I don't mind that. Otherwise, it's kind of just like cheap stuff. I think Levert's okay. He's probable. He's guard forward. I don't think that's the worst thing. But other than that,
well, you got your boy AJ Lawson.
He's okay. If he's going to be like hardcore popular, I think you can get away from that at 4K shooting guard only. If Barnes is out, that gets tougher. But if Barnes is in, I think Roden and Lawson are chalk pieces I don't mind fading.
Yeah, I see the logic. I think at 4K though, I'm pretty in on Lawson regardless. I think they're just going to be undermanned enough that, and we still don't know. Like, is Barnes actually going to get a full complement of minutes? Lawson's just going to get more run anyways, but obviously he looks a lot more appealing if Barnes sits. Are you going to do the Lonnie Walker dive again with his price up at 4.3K?
No, I think I'd rather get to like Bogdanovich without Kawhi for sub 5K. I think he could start. I think Vince Williams at sub 4K is someone I'm willing to go back to. Guard forward, took 12 shots in the last game, just didn't make any of them, but
sure didn't.
Starting. I think the role's good enough. He's the guy I have the most of any shooting guard of the entire slate as of now. So
I bet that feels real good.
I mean, if Lawson's chalk, I'd much rather just not play him and just try Williams instead.
I don't know. I think Lawson is pretty good chalk, to be honest.
I mean, Lawson has an extremely low floor. He got 50 in the last game. I don't think anything like that's particularly likely again.
Yeah, we also don't really know that much about him. Like the low floor can be attributed to not really playing that much. So he has a clear path to a pretty good amount of minutes here, regardless of what happens. Obviously, we don't, he's not really the best player in the world, so there's understandable fear. I already said Jared Butler, totally fine with that. Probably want him to start again if I'm going to take that dive again at 4.4. But I think he still looks pretty good if that does happen.
I think you can still look at Clay. Like he's getting more expensive, but he's getting so much usage with Dallas without any other NBA players. I think he's still viable at 6.
Do you know how many guys they're projected to have?
I
Because
guess
that's
I
important.
can take a gander.
Because it was like 2 or 3 slates in a row.
I They have 10, but they have 3 guys questionable: Washington, Exum, and Williams that I see.
Okay. Well, we know they can't all sit, right? So at least one of those guys has to play for them to be able to.
Or one of them has to be fake active. Yeah. Washington playing would make me not like Clay, really, at that price. I think Washington could eat into his usage enough. But, if they're down to 8, obviously all these guys get a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I think it's like just comes down to a numbers game. Like if they only have 8 or 9 guys, Clay is just going to be out there a good amount of time and he's going to jack up a ton of shots. So it's a volume game. I'm totally with you. 6.4K is not too expensive for Klay Thompson, who has been pretty productive because he fucking has to be. 36 minutes last game. He's also small forward eligible. So unless you have any other shooting guards, we can kick it over to there. Tatum leads the way. Tough matchup with OKC. Not super interested in him at that price. I think I'd rather get excited about point guard tonight. That is where all the really good plays are, it feels like. Obviously it's Tatum. He can go off. It's a massive game. So he's not really super owned right now. So in GPPs, you can play him. Just don't think I want to. Don't really want to pay a premium for KD, almost 10K now against the Rockets. Not super into that. Just don't see the point in spending here at this position. I think Tatum's the only one I would spend on. And then you're looking at if the Mavs are shorthanded and more specifically if PJ is out, Najee does still look pretty appealing at 7.5. But I would definitely need PJ to be out and them to be still very shorthanded.
Yeah, that's pretty insane that we're paying 7.5 for Najee and it's like an okay
what
play.
What year is this?
In a certain universe, but
I know.
Yeah, like even, I don't know. I don't really want to do that. I do think Tatum's a great play. Assuming he's in, like OKC without J-Dub, that's one of their better wing defenders who's missing. Caruso is he out or is he questionable? Either way, like if they're without him, that's another capable wing defender out of the lineup. And there's just not a lot to spend on, like you said. Tatum has shown a very high ceiling lately. Minutes should be guaranteed. Huge game, like you said. I have no problem spending up on him, and I'm happy to do so.
Well,
probably around the field.
Worth noting, both of those crazy blow-up games were with no Porzingis. So I'd be monitoring the Porzingis stats. I think if Porzingis and Jaylen Brown are in this game, I'm not that excited to pay almost 11K for Tatum, who honestly has shown a pretty low floor on the year. Like he is definitely
but I mean, you kind of have to play the slate in front of you, and like there's only so much you can pay up for. Like I love Trey and LaMelo and Harden and SGA and stuff, but there should be enough value to get to 2 spends, and I don't mind making Tatum the second spend if he's in. Porzingis is questionable. There is news we're waiting on there, but even with those guys projected in, I'm still getting a decent amount of Tatum.
Yeah, in the name of Zion Williamson, I'm not going to go against you any further here. Okay, so moving down, obviously it's just if you're not paying for Tatum, like I said, it doesn't feel great. There are guys in the mid-range. You already talked about Clay. There's Beal. There's Wiggins. I think they're okay. Karis LeVert, you mentioned at 5.4. That starts to get interesting. Boggy at 4.8. Keldon Johnson gets good usage off the bench. I think all these guys are totally fine. If something opens up where I can go a lot cheaper, that would be preferred. Like you mentioned, Vince Williams at 3.8. Niang at 4.2. Reza Shea, if LeVert ends up missing, those 2 guys who get a little bit more usage, they look okay. Nothing really feels great at small forward. But that is probably what I'm hoping for if that news breaks out and we can save money here instead of spending.
Yeah, it's mostly Vince Williams, Devin Vassell, Bogdanovic, 3 guys we talked about at shooting guard. Tatum and Scotty at the high end. I think Keldon's okay. I think Jamison Battle, if you want to full punt it with Barnes out, would be fine.
If Barnes is out.
And then Justin Edwards, 4.2 minutes for him should be pretty safe-ish, but I don't know. Not excited to play that guy. Not a good per minute guy.
I don't mind him because the last game his minutes were impacted by the score. So yeah, not really much of a ceiling there, but I think at 4.2 you can do that. Kind of would rather just go Ricky Council at 3.4. I don't know if he's power forward eligible only. No, he's small forward, so I don't mind him. He's just really cheap, so it's okay. The Battle thing is interesting because he's questionable, and obviously of the Scotty thing. If Scotty's out and Battle's in, I'm with you. 3.2K for a guy who's probably going to get 25, 30 minutes. I don't hate it. All right, over to power forward. Tatum rules the day there as well. We have KD. Miles Bridges is probably the first guy there that I actually don't feel bad about paying up for. I just know, though, if I get on Miles Bridges, he's now going to crater. He has been crushing, though. 54, 54, 64, 41, 55. Like, come on. Just absolutely just crushing left and right. At 8.6K, given what he's been doing against the Hawks, like, he looks really good. This is a good price. So projection kind of feels a little bit light. He's not that owned. So he looks really good. Otherwise, I'm going to go down and save a little bit. John Collins, if he's in and some other Utah guys are out, he looks good at 6.6. And then Tari Eason at 5.9. I don't think I had him in my core play to start the day, but I might end up getting him in there because he looks really good here. The Suns are just not an opposing matchup defensively. And obviously no Amen Thompson, so a little bit more usage for him. So yeah, why don't you give your thoughts on those guys?
Yeah, I love them all. Bridges is the guy I have the most of any power forward on the slate. Just underpriced, great matchup. No Jalen Johnson, no Clint Capella for Atlanta, so their front court's pretty thin overall. Good spot, good game environment. No issue with it. John Collins at 6.6, high total game, fast-paced matchup. Minutes for him should be pretty secure. Utah has been running the regular minutes when they play, which is not often, but Collins has a ceiling, especially on 6.6. He can break the slate. I like that a lot. Agree on Easton. I think he's a fine play at 5.9, kind of getting up there, but good matchup overall. Beyond that, I think Dylan Brooks is okay at 4.4. Like, never feel good about that, but fine. Jabari Smith, kind of thing, 5.2. And then like Niang, Risa Shea, just given the game environment for Atlanta, they're perfectly fine with Keldon. It's not exciting when you get cheap here. I think you probably want to pay up for Bridges, Collins, or Tatum, or Tari if you consider that a pay up, and get value at other positions.
I do not consider 5.9K a pay up. I think right now for me, Bridges is the guy. And if you want to save a 5.9K Tari, looks pretty darn good. One other guy I'll mention who I don't really want to mention. Where is he? Here we go. Kessler Edwards, 34 minutes last game, 31 the game before, 43 fantasy points. That's probably never going to happen again. But again, if the Mavs are shorthanded and in particular don't have PJ Washington tonight, I think he will be in play at 4.3K. Oh, by the way, given Toronto's lack of body, is Chris Boucher season? Anybody? 3.2 for Chris Boucher with nobody there. And by the way, Pirtle, he's going to be one of the guys in there probably, and he's been limited. So like, there's these minutes are going to other dudes besides Scotty and Pirtle, right? So I think Boucher is pretty interesting at 3.2K here. He's obviously a really good per minute guy and has a ceiling, so I don't hate him. All right, at center, Şengün looks like the best center.
Like, was he available in the last game and just DNP'd?
Let me see.
Because they've been playing Colin Castleton and Orlando Robinson pretty heavy minutes.
Yeah, he hasn't played at all since February 26th. What the hell?
Don't play him.
Well, probably not actually now, but they're super limited. Like, is he just like not actually part of it? Because then they're definitely trending towards like 8 or 9 bodies tonight. Because he's not like, there's no designation for him anywhere. He's healthy. No. So, okay. Yeah, I mean,
he had a tooth thing. He missed a game like 2 games ago with a tooth.
But he's missed like over a week now.
Well, he only missed 1 game technically for the injury. He's just otherwise DNP'd.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's been a while since they even allowed him at all onto the court. Okay, so stand corrected. I mean, in theory, if they don't have any guys, Boucher would be a good play, I think. If you had 8 guys and Boucher was one of them, absolutely he's in play. Obviously very risky. All right, so at center, Şengün projects the best. Suns are a good matchup. Feels gross paying 9.7K for Şengün. He does get a usage bump without Amen Thompson. He will create a little bit more without Amen there. I don't really want to do this. Like, I feel like going up for Tatum or SGA or these other point guards I think that feels better. Paying almost 10K for Şengün just feels a little bit wrong here. But the projection doesn't lie. He's not going to be super owned. I think he's a fine play. He's a fine spend up. I just don't really want to do that. Where are you sitting with Şengün?
I'm about even with the field. I see him around like 15%, and that's what I have right now. So I think he's a fine play just without the other spends that we have. No Jokic, like you said. And Phoenix is not imposing. He's going to be dealing with Nick Richards and Mason Plumlee all night. So yeah. I'm fine with it. There is value here, though, as usual. Like Collins, you can play at center. I think Pirtle, even on a minutes limit at 6K, is still cheap enough to be okay. Not my favorite play. My favorite play is probably a Camus at 7,100 with that Clint Capella against Charlotte. I think the minutes are going to be pretty secure. He's priced up now. DK has been very slow to price him up, but there's still a ceiling there. They have a very high total. Atlanta's one of my favorite teams on the whole slate. So Okongwu looks great. I'm okay with Edie if he's in. Zubats is getting pricey, but we've seen an upside from him pretty consistently.
Plus
So
no
you can
Kawhi.
still, yeah, no Kawhi. Like the usage is steady. Not a good matchup at all, though. So if you don't want to pay a premium, I don't blame you for that. The center I'm getting to the most, which does not feel good at all, is a backup $3,400 Mason Plumlee. Bad matchup, but he's super cheap. He's been getting steady minutes. He should not be as cheap as he is. So hopefully better value emerges later that gets me off of having 70% Mason Plumlee, but it's perfectly fine if you land on that, I think.
Yeah, I think like I've talked about him a couple times, like in night slates and stuff, where like, yeah, he just is a good per minute guy, and he's been getting like 20 to 25 minutes off the bench. So, and Nick Richards is like a defensive sieve. So if Şengün is just eating him alive, why wouldn't you just turn to Plumlee and just hope for it to be better? So Mark Williams is okay. I think I definitely agree with you here on Yeka. I don't love that his price has gone up.
Okay,
but
hold on. Mason Plumlee, Nick Richards is doubtful. I just saw. So
oh
Mason Plumlee
shit.
is actually starting probably at 3-4, which makes me feel quite a bit better about that.
That's core play material, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Not that he's a lot better defensively. Like Şengün still could eat him alive, but that's gonna be tough to get away from. So yeah, definitely with you on Plumlee now. But outside of Plumlee, obviously, if Walker Kessler is in a really good DFS environment against the Grizzlies, he could be awesome. I remember the other day I was like, I don't want to play Walker Kessler, and he got like 80 or something insane. I can't remember. He had 25 rebounds and like 8 blocks. Love your Collins mention, 6.6K. You can use him at 4 at center. He looks really good if those other Jazz guys are out. But I like Onyeka. I don't like that the price is up on Onyeka. I don't like that it's now caught up to like how good he can be. But 7.1K against the Hornets, like Mark Williams does not stop anybody. So, and like I've said before, 80% of his shots come inside the paint, and he can rebound and he block shots. Like Onyeka is a fun DFS play, and he projects well. So I like him. Probably the first guy I'm actually going to spend on at center. So 7.1K is not egregious for paying up here, but it's going to be really hard to get away from Plumlee at this point. Any other punts or mid-range centers that
play? I think Mark Williams is playable. Like Atlanta gives it up in the paint, and really that's all he does. He's shown a ceiling. I wouldn't be playing all of LaMelo and Mark Williams and Miles Bridges together, obviously, but individually he's still fine, barely more expensive than Okongwu. And I assume Okongwu will be owned maybe twice as much, if not more.
Right.
So
that's a good pivot for sure.
If you land on that.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't know right now if I'm going to be living in that range at center, but those guys are both good plays. All right, that's going to do it for our position by position breakdown. Let's end the video with our overall strategy and our flag plant of the night.
So as of now, I'm planning on fading. Like I like Shed. I will play Shed, but I'm kind of under the field on Roden and AJ Lawson with Scotty Barnes currently in. If Barnes is out, I'll probably change my tune and be more open to playing them into ownership. But as of now, with this Plumlee thing, there is enough value to pretty comfortably fade those guys and still get high projecting lineups with LaMelo and Miles Bridges and Trae Young and Harden and whoever else you want. Kind of building around Plumlee, kind of building around Shed, and then Vince Williams. I'm okay with that. So fading that cheap Raptor stuff, if Barnes is in, is something I'm strongly considering.
Yeah, right now I'm kind of on the opposite. I don't really want to play Roden right this minute, but I think Lawson and Shed are good plays. I don't mind eating the chalk there. Not going to eat the Harden chalk for sure. The chalk I am going to eat is going to be Desmond and Bane. I don't know if I can really qualify that as a conviction play. But as far as like people doubt chalk a lot, like, oh, that guy's chalky, I shouldn't play him. I don't think that's really going to be the case with Bane. I think he's a really good play. If there is a conviction play, it probably would be dancing around the lines of like John Collins. I think if John Collins is in and we don't have Markkanen and we don't have Keontae and stuff, like Collins is going to get extra usage, and he just is a really good per minute guy in a pretty good game environment here, like a great game environment actually. And if I want to do one more, ownership is not really suggesting either way right now, but I do think Trae or LaMelo are probably going to end up being the point guard that I go to. I started the day thinking SGA was like a lock for me, but the more I think about it, if he's going to garner ownership and ownership's going to be kind of split underneath a chalky Harden. I just kind of want to get away from the more expensive option. So right now I'm leaning Trey, but I think LaMelo is really good. Also, I really like your point about not just piling on these Hornets guys. I think picking one or two, and right now I would lean LaMelo and Bridges, just because Plumlee at the center right now seems like a tough thing to get away from. But yeah, hopefully this helps you out. If it does, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and come join us in Discord for free. If you want core plays to build your lineups around, hit up our Patreon as well. Thanks for watching and good luck.